So hi everyone, welcome to Let's Have a Conversation. And today I have a very special guest. So I have Arundhati with me. And so before we begin with the conversation, let me start by introducing her a little bit. And then of course you can also share a little bit about yourself. So Arundhati and I of course are very good friends. And the reason why I have chosen this topic to discuss with her is because I feel that we have sort of also evolved as people and from the time that we met, of course, and we've both been such an important part of each other's journey that this topic essentially is like two friends discussing this over a phone call. That's because you had this conversation before also, like at so many different points, but this will be a little more streamlined into a proper conversation, of course. So, Arundhati, why don't you start by sharing a little bit about your work so that the audience gets a little familiarized with you as a person?
Okay. So first I would really want to thank you for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. And it's a very beautiful venture that you have started. And I'm really glad being a friend, seeing the journey and also becoming a part of it. It's really heartwarming to be honest. And talking about myself, I am currently working at NASSCOM Foundation as a program executive. And before that, I have around 3 years of experience in communication and content. And apart from that, a most important thing in my life, that is, I'm also a trained classical dancer and a theatre practitioner. So that's all I can tell about myself as of now.
Okay. So before, I think we can start with the conversation, and the topic for today is, of course, building relationships. You can, I think you've guessed it by the tagline also of our video. So let me start by, just discussing a very basic question over here, which is, what is a relationship? Because, when we think of this word, और किसी को अगर आप बोलोगे ना कि relationship, वो दिमाग में एकदम से आता है कि कोई रोमांटिक
Valentine's Day
हाँ
special.
कोई रोमांटिक रिलेशनशिप है ये, बट like there's so much more to that term. And when I was young, of course, in my head also relationship meant a romantic relationship, but you never think of your family as a form of relationship that can be very very intimate, in the sense that it's the primary relation, the most first relationship of your life is your family, and from that it grows to your friends, to your neighbors. Like, at a very young age you start the process of socialization from the age of 4-5. पार्क में जा रहे हो, दोस्तों के साथ खेल रहे हो, वो भी एक रिलेशन बन जाता है. Over the years your friends become very important. When you're an adolescent child, suddenly friends are like the most important part of your life. वो parents सब बाहर में जाओ, मेरे दोस्त है भाई, दोस्त सबसे important है. And I think I can like testify this, because when I was a teenager, I remember I used to like desperately wait for that 5 p.m. 6 p.m. time of the day कि पार्क जाएंगे. अब तो भाई मतलब कुछ भी हो जाए, दुनिया इधर की उधर हो जाए, आंधी आए तूफान आए, पार्क जाना बहुत जरूरी है क्योंकि दोस्तों से मिलना है. But eventually when you come in your 20s and you start working, I think the whole definition of a relationship really changes for you. And for me personally, I feel that there are so many people that I am connected to as a human being. Like, even the person I meet every day, let's say while entering my college, I don't have a relation with the watchman, but I say a hello to him every day. Or let's say someone who's traveling from metro or bus, you will find that one person who's also traveling with you every day. So you don't talk to that person, you don't know that person, but since you're traveling together on a daily basis, there is a form of weird relationship that gets formed. That कल को वो नहीं आएंगे तो आप सोचोगे कि यार वो आज नहीं आया वो, है ना. तो इतने सारे रिलेशंस होते हैं लाइफ में that when you reach your 20s, I feel that you sort of start compartmentalizing them in your head. कि यार ये ज़्यादा important वाले relations है, ये थोड़े कम वाले important है, और then it goes on that these are just a very like you just meet them and then it's gone. You don't think about those people all the time. So what is a relationship for you, or how do you compartmentalize your relations in your life?
Okay. So, like you said, when you are a child, it's you just sort of gel with everyone. You cannot think about a lot of things in detail,
No.
like what is a relationship, or this is a good friend or this is a bad friend. Things just happen with the flow, and you feel like it's a routine, like this is how life is. But when you start growing up and you're switching classes, or you're switching to a new college or a new environment, suddenly those relationships change, and then you realize, okay, what just happened? What happened? Okay, we are not friends anymore. Okay, so this group of friends, this one person is suddenly, going out with someone else. Then you feel really bad. What just happened? Why are not being invited and all? So I think that's part and parcel of life, which you realize much later, and you start accepting it. Talking about, compartmentalizing, like you said, it's again something which you cannot do mindfully. It just happens, right? Because when I was in my school days, there were few friends who were, my co-people. I used to talk to them, share everything about myself. But when I went to college or started working, I was introduced to another set of people, and somewhere I was spending more time by default with them.
Course. Yeah.
So that old relationship was, I would say, it faded, somewhere. But I was not doing that intentionally, that I wanted to lose that friend. Okay, that friend was not important, wasn't putting so much in my life, or like that. But I think when you move on in a relationship, and when you grow up as a person, I think there are a few traits that you can sort of avoid around people, because it's not like nobody is a saint, I would say. Even sometimes I also intentionally ignore people just because I am not in that space or in that zone where I want to communicate. That's what life gives you, right? Yeah, I think it's very, very common, and you cannot blame somebody for not being there for you. We have our own set of obstacles, we have our own set of problems.
Yeah.
Someday I feel like talking to everyone, meeting everyone, and the other day I'm like, I just want to just put my phone on silent. I don't want to talk to anyone.
Be alone.
And next day I again want those people, because that's how I am. And I think that's what I believe, that helped me understand other people. Just because somebody was not there for me at one point in life, that doesn't mean that I'll have to lose them. Okay, I'll have to say, अब तुम मेरे लाइफ में कोई जगह नहीं है तुम्हारी, just go away. No, because that one person was there in a chapter of your life. Maybe not throughout the story, but he or she was there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And that nurtured you, that made you understand few things. Also, you confided to that person, so you learn few things. And at one point you believe that this is my person, and you felt comfortable,
Right.
And you earn that. If somebody is confiding to you, you earn that. And I think it's very necessary that we respect that. Talking about few traits, if I go into little detail, like over the time what I had experienced, and I'm pretty sure many people will relate, there are few good and bad traits which is in every person, right? Every person. But somebody that you must avoid, I would say, who is not sort of valuing your opinion. I'm not saying that person has to agree to your opinion, what you're saying, but somebody not valuing what you think is really harmful. Because at one point when you will, your judgment will go wrong, that person will just grab you by the neck and say, कि
मैंने बोला था, मैंने बताया
So
था.
that means that the person was rooting for your failure, right?
But here I'll sort of add a point and like combine what you were saying before. For me, I feel that, you know, of course, we all move ahead in life and we all find new people. And, you know, even when you're in college, you will have friends that you're like, you know, now this is my people, my group, these are my people. And eventually you lose touch. Eventually, you know, maybe you are the one who is not able to keep that relation. Or it's with everybody. Everybody moves ahead. They all start working. You all move to different cities. But what you was mentioning, that, you know, they're all a part of your life, at least a part of that one chapter of your life, and you do have good memories with them. It doesn't matter whether, you know, that person is there for you always or not, but he or she was there at some point. Here I feel that what I was mentioning about compartmentalization, that part plays a very important role, because there are a few people who are always going to be there with you. It doesn't matter whether you are there physically, emotionally, or, you know, in some way or the other, they will be a part of your life, whether you like it or not. Like, for example, your extended family. Many of the people don't like their extended families. Many people might not like their some friends in the friend circle. But because you're a part of that family, you're a part of that circle, you will have, you know, deal with that person at all times. It doesn't always have to be your personal relation with that person. But what I feel is important is that, you know, that age old saying, friend in need is a friend indeed, right? And friend in need does not always have to be there physically. You can be a friend in need even emotionally, because for example, I know somebody who is going through a lot right now, because, you know, they're suffering in their, because of the COVID thing. There's a lot that's happening in the family. Now, of course, we as people who are also in lockdown could not go there. Like, you also remember, right? We were not able to reach out to people physically, but that emotional support through phone calls, through messages, through constant concern that, you know, are you okay? Do you need anyone to talk to? Can I do anything for you? Reaching out, there can be so many ways to reach out. That is where that you know, that differentiation comes in between people who are like your people and people who are like, you know, just acquaintances. That's why we have these terms, right? We have these terms. This person is just an acquaintance, this is just a colleague, but this is a colleague who's turned into a friend. Now this is a friend who has turned into a close friend. So ये terminologies है क्योंकि ऐसा होता है. Like, your relations do turn into those kind of relationships over time. But at the same time, the reverse also happens. वो close friend फिर friend बन जाता है, फिर वो stranger बन जाता है, फिर वो ऐसे non-existent person बन जाता है. And I feel that that journey also teaches you a lot about your own self. Like, that also brings me to the next point, which is that, you know, how do you decide how much do I need to invest in a relationship? Because personally, what happens with me is I end up investing too much, and you know this, of course.
Way too much.
I have had this scolding session also with Arundhati. I invest too much in a person to an extent that it leads to self-harm. Like, you know, there's an inherent trait in me, which is that, you know, I need to prove my loyalty, my friendship, you know, commitment and dedication to this person. And in the process, I end up investing like maybe beyond my limits. And what that leaves me is that I end up, you know, keeping nothing for myself. And at the same time, it also leads to expectations. That, you know, I am doing so much, so I am also expecting कि उसका 50% return तो आएगा ही आएगा. और वो दूसरा इंसान तो मतलब किसी कंपल्शन में है नहीं ना, उसके साथ कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट थोड़ी ना साइन किया कि इतना मैंने किया तो तुमको भी करना पड़ेगा. सो ऑब्वियसली इट देन लीड्स टू डिसअपॉइंटमेंट. सो the question again, you know, every time you end up in that square one, that कितना इन्वेस्ट करें एक पर्सन पे, डर डर के कितना जिए कि भैया इतना ही कर सकते हैं, अभी थोड़ा नाप तोल कर लेते हैं कि हाँ अभी स्टेज को क्रॉस किया ही नहीं किया. यू कांट, लाइक देयर इज नो क्लियर इंडिकेशन टू दैट, राइट? सो हाउ डू यू डिसाइड दैट ओके दिस इज अ पर्सन आई कैन इन्वेस्ट अ लिटिल मोर इन, और दिस इज अ पर्सन कि नहीं नहीं थोड़ा सा मतलब संभल जाते हैं.
Talking about that, you know, human relationships give you equal happiness and stress. Okay, that's like, and there's no escape to that. You have to deal with people, you have to work with people, you have to live with people. So, the question comes when you said about investing. I think when we were kids, ये सब मैटर भी नहीं करता था. We knew वो person आ ही जाएगा break time में खेलेंगे, फिर हम लोग you know we'll go to inside the class and the class will begin and it's just there, you know, there's कोई ऐसे सोच उस टाइम पे I think था ही नहीं about, you know, जो जिस तरीके का we have complicated things as of now, इतना कुछ पहले था भी नहीं. But currently talking about investing is up to us, you know, how you want to maintain a relationship.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, you have a childhood friend for years and years and years, but there's one point you feel like that person is changing and not vibing with you anymore, and it's not working out. But just because हम बचपन के साथी है, पड़ोसी है, you know, our parents are friends, so we have to maintain it, you know, put a smiling
what
face.
I said that, you know, some people are always there,
Always
कुछ नहीं
there.
कर सकता
Yeah.
उसमें.
And some people, you know, you just meet them at a coffee shop and you feel something interesting about them, you go and speak to them, and suddenly you feel like, oh my god, we resonate so much, and you become friends like out of the blue. Like about us, nothing was structured and we were not supposed to be friends, but then again, you know, things just happen, things just fall into place. But also somewhere I feel it's more easier for the two of us to maintain the relationship because we live close by. We have a proper 6 to 5 job, right? And if you want to talk to me after a particular time, I'll be there, I'll be available for you. But what if, you know, one day you're not in the same city or I'm not in the same country? Then it's very hard to, you know, expect that it will be continued. So it's completely up to us how you want to maintain the relationship, what you want to do. And one thing is that we at one point we have to be little selfish and mindful, because ek do baar we tend to ignore. Like friendships are that's why it's a very beautiful relationship, because you get a lot of chances. You know, even if I'm being moody right now, you will understand, you know, and and the next moment, you know, you will be like, just give her some time, she'll be back around. But at one point, if you feel disrespected by that person, like you're doing too much but there is nothing in return, like there's a very old saying, mythological saying ki karm karta ja, phal ki chinta mat kar. But in reality that doesn't work.
At what cost are you doing that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and like I said, it gives you equal stress. We already have so many things to deal about, Ravi. Like especially after COVID, I think lives changed drastically. You know, all of a sudden we had some responsibilities which were there, or they were supposed to fall on our hands, but it took a very ugly turn in our lives. You know, the unexpected happened, and I think most of our, you know, common friends went through a lot. But it doesn't mean that we didn't personally go through a lot, just because touch wood we didn't lose a person close to us, or something else, something more bad. But we all are going something or the other, because they were psychologically, people were disturbed at that point of time. You know, because we were locked inside a room, and suddenly there were no jobs, you didn't know what to do next, right? And people very easily, you know, say that, okay, you're 25, you're 26, you still don't know what to do. You know, it's not the right time to say those things. But I personally believe that, you know, it's okay. It's not important to figure out everything. You know, it takes away the adventure of your life, I would say.
Yeah.
And that is when a friend is there, being, you know, the person is not being judgmental at all.
Yeah.
And that person is there by your side. And I believe there should be equal give and take. Not important that, you know, today you have done something for me, tomorrow I'll just repay it. That
It's not
shouldn't
about
be the
repayment.
that shouldn't be the thing, and that shouldn't be the expectation. But when the time comes, you know, I would expect you to be there.
Yeah. And because, you know, it's not about repayment, it's about putting equal amount of effort and putting in an effort when it is required. ये नहीं कि यू नो मैं रोज तुम्हारे लिए गुलाब का फूल लेके आ रही हूँ या रोज तुमको गिफ्ट भेज रही हूँ, हम रोज पार्टी कर रहे हैं, रोज फोटोज खींच रहे हैं, पार्क में मिल रहे हैं, सब कुछ कर रहे हैं.
But also a lot of time, you know, people also take it for granted, you know, for whom we do it without even thinking what's next.
No, what I meant was that, you know, like for example, we are doing everything. You know, you're meeting on a regular basis. If you're younger, you'll probably meet every day after school. You are clicking pictures, आप एक दूसरे की बर्थडेज पे जा रहे हो, आप सब कुछ कर रहे हो जो एक नॉर्मल फ्रेंडशिप में होता है. रात रात भर बातें भी कर रहे हो, डिस्कशन भी कर रहे हो, करियर का भी सोच रहे हो. बट सडनली व्हेन एक्चुअली आई नीड यू, देन यू आर लाइक, यू नो, यू आर मेकिंग एक्सक्यूजेस कि यार टाइम जाएगा इसमें तो बड़ा मेरा, चलो कुछ बहाना मार देते हैं, है ना, कि ये काम आ गया वो. एंड वी ऑल हैव दोज पीपल अराउंड अस. बट the point is that, you know, those are the moments when that beauty of the friendship is actually you know, taking that turn. It can either become more beautiful or it can take a very ugly turn where, you know, suddenly you are like, that reality clicks in. Because what happens is what you said, that, you know, in a friendship you get a lot of chances because you have that emotional attachment with a person. फ्रेंडशिप ही नहीं, किसी भी टाइप के रिलेशनशिप में अगर आप किसी पार्टनर के साथ भी हैं, you all give chances to the person because in a relationship, you know, you expand your limitations, you go beyond your own, the barriers that you've created for your own self, you go beyond that, you push your limits, right? But that's the point where, you know, आपको कॉन्फिडेंस उतना होना चाहिए आपके रिलेशन में कि यार ये वापस आएगा, ये ना, ये इंसान कहीं जाएगा नहीं. Even if we are fighting right now, or even if we are, you know, in a stressful position right now, I know that, you know, this person will come back because that's the strength of that relationship. पेरेंट्स के साथ ही सोच लो कितना रोज सुबह शाम झगड़ा होता ही है with your mother. I think we all had the most amount of fights with our mothers, but you have the confidence ना कि हाँ हाँ मम्मी तो कल फिर से ठीक हो जाएंगी. Why? Because you know that relationship is so strong that nothing can break it. It's the same with a lot of friends, that no matter how big a fight is, what happens, ultimately you forgive it. रिलेशनशिप में भी अगर आपका रिलेशनशिप बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग है, इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग है कि आपको पता है कि वो इंसान मेरी लाइफ में एक बहुत वैल्यू ऐड करता है, he contributes or she contributes to my growth, you will not let that person go and eventually you will forgive that person. Other way around also, that person will also forgive you. You know, there was this Kapil Sharma show में एक एपिसोड था जिसमें अनुपम खेर was there. And he said a very beautiful line that, you know, in friendships, it's okay to forgive at times. कुछ कुछ बातें जाने दो, हर चीज को पकड़ के मत रखो. But again, what you were saying, that, you know, when it turns to the ugly side, I feel when you start taking that person for granted. कि यार इसके साथ तो आप कुछ भी कर लो, ये तो कहीं नहीं जाने वाला. And that is when I also feel that a relationship turns toxic, because then what you are compromising with is your self-respect. You're not compromising with anything else. You know what I was mentioning before, at what cost? वो कर्म करते जाओ, फल की चिंता मत करो, but किस basis पे? कि मतलब मैं एकदम बिच जाऊँ तो like that, you know, there are so many Indian serials where they show women in that form that करते जाओ कोई बात नहीं, सब आपको सुना के चले जा रहे हैं.
But also, Shruti, I would want to mention something over here. This is person to person.
It's very subjective.
Like, even if you want to say, if I tell you 10 things that this is not the right way, it's very much possible that you will do that again, because that's how you are as a person. Like, I won't differentiate, with different genders, but it's very common to say that a lot of men, like that men bonding, उनको फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता है आधे लोगों को क्या हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा है. But when girls, we are so emotional, and we again, it's very subjective to put it like that. But I, as a person, I am like that. I complicate things in my head. Maybe it's not even happening like that. And मैंने 10 कहानियाँ सोच ली है कि ऐसा हुआ होगा वैसा हुआ होगा. And the end of the day, you're like, मेरी गलती थी यार, मेरी गलती थी.
You start self-doubting.
Yeah, that's what happened. But then again, it's person to person, right? And there is no right way or wrong way to do things. आपको एक टाइम के बाद you feel like there's a reason why you again feel like doing it again and again, because at one point कहीं ना कहीं you felt that warmth, you felt that connection, and we are not so dumb, like just doing that for no reason. Somewhere we felt that it was worth it. It is worth it.
Yeah.
Maybe that person is not there. उसका अभी time खराब चल रहा है. वो space चाहिए उसको. It's okay. And it's very important that what we think of a relationship, because it's very much important that we give that space. एक hint of expectation आ जाता है. It's very common. वो आएगा ही,
हर रिलेशन में आता है.
वो आएगा ही. But we also have to be matured enough to, accept that it's okay if that person is not there with me right now.
Yeah.
If that person is not available or talking to me, or we are not talking like before. If there is a possibility to confront, do that, of course. But also you need to sympathize with the thing that it's okay.
Yeah.
Things have taken a turn. Maybe this is how it is, because we are growing very differently.
Yeah.
Our
Of
backgrounds
course.
doesn't match what we want to pursue in the career. It doesn't match. So of course, there is always, difference in opinion. Like I said in a very much beginning, that you don't have to agree to whatever I'm saying, but you have to respect at least why I'm thinking this way, where I'm coming from.
As a human being, that basic dignity for the life in front of you has to be there.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you're going through, you cannot disrespect the other person. Of course.
And that's how a relationship is built, I would say. Because kalko, if I think, you just make fun of something I said, it's something very close to my heart, I discussed with that hua mere saath. You just laughed at it, and it's something very common, because right now I think I'm working with people of extreme age groups. Either they're in 20s or they're in 50s. So I'm working with a mix of people. So we are making friends, we are no more friends, making friends of the same age group, right? We have multiple friends. And you feel like somebody who is elder to you, a good friend, he's understanding you much more. And somebody who's younger to you, maybe you're able to relate to that much more, and not able to relate to the people of the same age group. And it's very common these days. We are a mixed group of people. But something that have, bothered me over the time when I am involved myself in these set of groups, is that there's a reason why I come to you, why I'm telling something, right? Because I must have felt that you will be able to relate. But for example, if you're elder to me or if you're younger to me, my answer is like, अरे यार अभी तो तूने दुनिया देखी ही नहीं है.
Yeah, you sort of negate the person already.
Yeah, and then next time when I'll be suffering from something similar, I would not want to come to you.
Yeah.
Because I will say कि ये person तो समझेगा ही नहीं, बोलेगा अभी तो और बहुत कुछ देखना बाकी है. I'm like, this is not a solution or an answer. Like, you cannot just say that, अभी तुम्हारे साथ जो हो रहा है, it's very small scale. Lot of things happen to a lot of people.
That's how, when you start comparing your situation with the other person, that's when the complication actually begins. That, मेरे साथ जब हुआ था, मैंने ऐसा किया था या ऐसा सोचा. It's not about you. It's not about
it's
you.
It's my problem. Listen to me.
Yeah, because that's what happens when I call you. And like when I call you to rant about something or to complain about something, it's not about you, your experience,
Yeah.
what happened with you. It's about me at that time. And if you start talking about all of that, it sort of takes away from my pain. It takes away from my own emotions that I'm feeling at that time. And then next time I'll not call you. I'll be like, यार ये ना अपना ही दुखड़ा शुरू कर देगी.
And
मैं किसी
sometimes
और को
I
call
think
करती हूँ.
experience sharing is important, but
Yeah.
I think it should happen in a healthy way, because we had a common thing, I would say. You know, you also shared your experience with me, and that somehow it helped us to grow the relationship.
But there's a time for it, no?
Yeah, yeah,
वो
absolutely.
उस time पे मैं बोलूँगी तो
You
नहीं
have
समझ
to-
में आएगा
Yeah,
आपको.
yeah. You have to give that space to that person.
You have to be mindful about
Yeah.
it. And I feel that जैसे मैं पहले कह रही थी कि आपको डिसाइड करना पड़ेगा आप जरूरत के टाइम पे हो या नहीं. बट एट द सेम टाइम व्हाट यू वर सेइंग ना दैट इट डजंट हैव टू बी इन अ वे दैट यू नो दैट पर्सन इज ऑलवेज देयर फॉर यू. हो सकता है कि वो बिजी है, अपने किसी प्रॉब्लम में उलझे हुए हैं. बट I'd also like to point out something completely opposite to that. You should not be always there also. थोड़ा सा आपको भी mindful इस चीज के लिए होना है कि उस इंसान का जो पर्सनल ग्रोथ है, किसी भी इंसान का पर्सनल ग्रोथ नहीं हो पाएगा अगर आप 24 घंटे उसके साथ हो. It's true.
Just imagining my life to be that way.
It's true. Like I feel even in a romantic relationship, it cannot be like this. It will be suffocated. थोड़ा सा वो breathing space होना चाहिए. वो एक सैटेलाइट की तरह मैं 24 घंटे उसके आगे पीछे घूमती रहूंगी. वो इंसान नहीं ग्रो कर पाएगा. Because I have seen boyfriends and girlfriends, like you know, it's a complete myth if people are thinking that only boyfriends do this. Girls are also crazy about this pattern where they are like constantly कहाँ हो, क्या कर रहे हो, किसके साथ हो, कब आओगे, क्या खाओगे. Like you know, there are so many memes where these influencers are also sharing कि क्या text है, मेरे बाबू ने खाना खाया, आपने ये किया, आपने वो किया. Like you're constantly wanting to know what the other person is doing, and you're constantly tracking also कि अच्छा अब तुम ऑफिस से निकले हो तो तुम्हें पहुंचने में 15 मिनट लगते हैं, 20 मिनट हो गए, अब कहाँ हो. Like sometimes parents also do that, you know, like
Sometimes, every time, especially my mother. Like I've just told her, you know, it's 8 o'clock, I'm coming
हाँ.
home. 8:30 she's calling again, where are you?
हाँ.
But please give me the time, man.
like if you have told your parents कि 10 बजे मैं आ जाऊंगी घर, 10:05 पे, हाँ 5 मिनट कैसे लेट हो गए. So ठीक है, पेरेंट्स का तो फिर भी मैं बोलूंगी कि ये एक बहुत कॉमन चीज है. एंड यू नो कि what they are doing is not with the intent of keeping a
Yeah.
track of you, but it's more of it for the
Yeah, that
intent of
curfew is very
concern.
much important in our lives.
It's a concerning element
Yeah.
कि ठीक है उन पेरेंट्स को तो मैं डिस्काउंट दे दूंगी, चलो ठीक है कोई बात नहीं. इंडियन पेरेंट्स आर लाइक दिस ओनली, वी हैव टू जस्ट एक्सेप्ट इट. बट विद फ्रेंड्स व्हेन दिस स्टार्ट्स हैपनिंग, अच्छा आज तू इसके साथ क्यों घूमने गई, तू मेरे साथ क्यों नहीं गई, और यू नो अच्छा तुमने नए दोस्त बना लिए, oh now you've forgotten me because you have new friends. This constantly being on your head is also something that sort of, you know, takes away the beauty of the relationships. That you know, you're constantly wanting to be a part of that person's personal space. And I think this is something which is very, very dangerous for a romantic relationship. Because the moment you're like, मुझे हर वक्त पता होना चाहिए आप तुम कहाँ हो, क्या कर रहे हो, किसके साथ हो, that is when that relationship sort of starts becoming suffocating. Like I think we can use that term. Yes. This is looking at me.
Yeah. So even this has happened in friendship. It's not just about romantic relationships. This can happen in any relationship. Again, it's the kind of people you're dealing with. Also, something that you know I have learned over the time, because there was a time, you know, because I was in a new working space, I was in a new college, I had a different set of people, and somewhere my old friends were with a different set of people. and that created a lot of conflict at one point of time, because you know, in social media we get to see where you are, and it's not like, you know, that you're deliberately putting something, you know, just to make somebody jealous. It's just that's the plan for the day, right?
That's how your mind works.
Yeah. And at one point of time that conflict came, and even I was also very much rude at that point of time. Like, I was giving them the list, तूने भी तो ऐसे ऐसे किया, तूने भी तो वैसे वैसे किया. So with time I realized that is so wrong. That is so wrong. An answer cannot be तूने भी ऐसा किया.
Gaslight करोगे तो वो तो गया फिर.
Yeah.
कुछ नहीं हो सकता उस relationship.
And that's what one thing which I learned over the, thankfully by God's grace, I have such friends who understand that. Even I also evolved with time. I also started understanding that it's okay to make new friends, to be with a new bunch of people. But one thing you have to be sure, if you value a relationship, if you want that relationship to continue and the people to respect you, just when the time is there, you just get back to them. Like many times happen that you text me to meet, to go out and hang out, and I'm not there. And I ensure that next week I text you myself that what happened to that plan, you know, let's just catch up. And maybe that time you're not free, but then we decide the next possible date. And because there's a reason why, you know, I wanted you to be there, I want to meet you. I could have gone with someone else also, right? Because you're important. I'm important to few people. So I think that's when it works to both ways. And second thing, which was I think sort of part of part of the previous question, but I would want to mention that just because I'm coming to you to rant about something, it's okay to not have a solution.
Yeah.
You don't have to give me a solution. So kabhi even initially I used to feel, I had this very weird a thing which when somebody used to discuss something about their life, but it was very irrelevant to me. Like, I couldn't relate to it. And at that point of time, I was just listening to that person on the other side. Okay, this is what happened, that is what happened. But that one point, I was like, yaar, मैंने तो उसको कुछ ढंग का जवाब ही नहीं दिया. Was that person convinced? Like, what was he supposed to say? How was he supposed to console that person? Sometimes you don't know that. And even that same thing when it happened to me, when I had to say something, just to say something like, this is the situation, this has happened, I'm so stressed, and I really didn't want a solution for that, because I knew what I'll do next. I just wanted to,
get it out of the system.
And I think people must have been through this similarly. So it's okay if you don't have a solution to it. It's okay. You don't have to come up with a solution. Rather than coming with something very relevant.
मतलब हम कौन से expert बैठे हैं?
It's better that you keep quiet and just be there for that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we'll stop here and we'll continue for part 2. So